I'm drawing pretty big.
Yeah, mine's pretty bad too.
It looks like a person's face.
So I got my circle, and we tried to find a point right in the middle. What do I call that point in the middle? This is my center.
There we go, my turn.
And we're gonna call that center what? What do you wanna call
C.
it? C.
Why C?
Okay?
Oh.
So when you call the center, this is how you name a circle. By whatever letter is in the center. Okay? And usually when we name a circle, we're going to put a little symbol or like a symbol in front of it. Okay, so like our triangle or our angle or whatever. So with this, we're just going to put a circle with a dot in there. And then put our C in there. So that's circle C. What else do we know about a circle? Okay, so what is a radius? Half. So what are we going to call our radius? B. Okay. So this is a radius. And we would say it's a segment from the center to the outside of the circle. And so then we're going to name that segment with 2 letters. So we're going to name it BC. And realistically, we can put a segment symbol over top of it. So here's a question. Let everybody think for a second. How many, what's the plural of a radius? What's the plural for the word radius? Radii. Did you know that? Radii. So you all learned something finally today, right? How do we spell radii? 2 I's, right?
Like a line.
Radii, okay. So here's the question. Think, how many radii are in a circle?
2.
Wait, you're supposed to be thinking. Everybody got an answer?
Yeah.
How many think, Carson?
More than 2.
Because you can just extend like a million lines.
Exactly right. So there's really an infinite number, right? Carson only has 2. This circle's kind of lonely, right? Okay? Everybody else, circle has a billion of them. Carson's has 2. I don't know why. Okay? But realistically, we could just keep drawing them and be as close as we wanted to all the way around, right? Okay? So then, what did you say? What's my next? So the next thing is a diameter, and what's the difference between a diameter and a radius? Okay, so this is going to be, well, we could get really technical, but let's just say a segment that has endpoints. You understand endpoints, what that means? Obviously, the points that are ended. On the circle. But it has to go where? Yep. Segment that has endpoints on the circle through the center. So technically, should probably use a ruler, so I draw it straight. But I'll use my trusty old protractor because it looks like someone stole my rulers. Nice yardsticks. So there's my diameter. And again, I can name my diameter K. What? T?
J.
Okay. So my diameter is still 2 letters. My radius we would probably show as an R. My diameter we're going to show as a lowercase d. And again, lowercase or capital makes a difference. So again, don't start selling yourself short and writing it different. And as you said, so a diameter always is made up of two radii, right? You just connect them together. So from there then, we talk about the circumference of the circle. And what's this word mean? Nope. There you go. So circumference really means the perimeter. So when we talk about any other shape, the perimeter means what?
All
The
outside.
The outsides, right? But in a circle, do we really have sides? No. So they needed a different word for it, and so they're talking about going around the outside again, but because there's no sides, now we call it circumference instead of perimeter. Okay, so circumference is going to be shown with a capital C. All right. And basically, we have a formula then. Anybody know the formula?
3.14 times the radius.
Isn't there pi?
No, 3.14 times radius times 2.
No, it's pi.
Or we just do times the diameter.
Pi times radius times 2.
Okay.
Pi times diameter.
That's
Okay.
area.
So,
Yeah, just pi times diameter.
pi d or 2 pi r, right? Because there's two r's in diameter, and then we have pi. What's pi? 3.14, right? So here's the thing, when you start doing these problems right here, okay, it's a perimeter. So when I have perimeter, or now circumference, what is my label? What is my, what?
What'd you say?
What is my label in my answer? If I'm doing perimeter or now circumference? Yeah, right?
No
There's-
square.
These are not squared. It's just whatever the label is in the problem. Because why? Because I'm adding all my labels up. In the area, it's squared because we multiply them together. Make sense? Okay? So, going back to pi, did you know that you got a pi button on your calculator?
Yeah.
Right? So, everybody see where your pi button is probably a second button? On some calculators, on some it's not.
Yeah.
Okay, you might just have to hit it. But if you hit that button, what do you get?
3.14159265
So it's a big difference than if Grace uses 3.14 and just punches it in, or if Carson uses the button, right? So when you're doing these problems and you're comparing your answers after you're doing your homework, and if you use two different things, they're going to be different. Okay, so don't freak out about it. It's still the right answer. It's just how you used your, which one you used. Anybody know the fraction for pi? 22 over 7. Okay, so if you see 22 over 7, that's pi also. All right. So again, you can use the diameter or you can use the radius, that doesn't matter. If you want to be consistent, pick one of them all the time, and then you just either split. If you like this one all the time, then if I have a radius, I just take my diameter and divide by 2. Or if you just want to use diameter all the time, that's totally up to you. Okay.
So if you're doing like the second one in your calculator, would you put 2 pi and then your radius? Or
That's where you got to kind of know how your calculator works. Okay, so you probably need to put in parentheses, and we'll go over this when we get to our example. We can do that example right now. That's fine. So find the circumference if the diameter is 12 inches. So what am I going to punch into my calculator?
Pi times 12.
Pi times 12, or you can just probably punch in, most of yours you should be able to just hit 12 pi and hit equals. And that should give you your answer. But again, make sure you know how your calculator works.
Will it tell us what to round to?
Yes. Then it'll tell you what to round to. So what do we come up with in this one? If we round to one decimal place?
37.7.
0.7 what?
Oh, inches.
Inches, right? Because it was a diameter of 12 inches. So if we move down to the second one, and it says find the circumference if the radius is 7.1 meters. Okay, so this is where Grace was asking, can I just write all this down? I would say probably, but if you're gonna write all of this down, after you write 2 pi, then you probably need to put in parentheses, and then your, whatever your r is. Okay? So I can either use 2 pi or I can use 14.2, right? Same difference? And in either case, what do we come up with?
44.6.
I heard different answers.
44.6. 1568. Yeah.
44.6.
Keeping the same thing, 22.3.
Did you just take 7.1 times?
Wait, are you taking that times 2, 7.1 times 2? Because it's the radius.
There you go. Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Okay? So, again, circumference. Remember, if you really want to think about the circumference, I might clip this circle in half and roll it all out. Then I'm just measuring it out. That's what the circumference of the perimeter is. So then the opposite of this is my area again. And the area is then the inside of my circle. Right? The amount of space that I can have on the inside of my circle. So when I do the area, I'm going to still use my capital A. Okay? And area is going to equal, and this is for whatever reason, a lot of people get these mixed up. So don't go too fast that you get them mixed up. But what's the area of the circle?
Circumference times diameter.
No. Anybody else? You guys learned 2 things today. Pi, we're still going to have pi. Now we have to use r, and we're going to square it. So this is a big deal now. Now, as Grace's question, it's important, right? I got to do order of operations here. I can't take pi times r and then square it. I have to do the order of operations. It says r is squared. So in the order of operations, it says parentheses and then exponent. So I got to do r squared. But it's r times r, not r times 2. Okay? People get going really fast here, and they take r times 2. Can't imagine any of you guys doing that.
Yeah, neither could I.
There's 3 gentlemen that come to mind right off the bat.
I don't see how you're viewing the allies.
But now, look, I'm multiplying 2 things together. So again, when we go back to area, my label is what? My label is still squared. So circumference and perimeter, I'm adding things together. So my label stays whatever the label is. With area, I'm multiplying my 2 radii together. So because I'm multiplying the same thing twice, I'm going to have my square. Okay, so what's the, find the area if the radius is 11 feet. So what are we going to do?
Got it.
So 121 times 3.14, right? What do we get?
380.1. Oh, feet. No, is it feet?
I got
Yeah, it's feet.
380.1
Feet.
feet squared.
Square.
Feet squared,
Oh, yeah.
right? Right? Yes. sir.
You know how you said if we're don't go too fast, we'll all get confused?
Mhm.
What if I'm going on the interstate?
Right? That has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. Okay?
Yeah.
Next one. I want you to not use your calculator on this one whatsoever. So find the area if the diameter is 8.3 centimeters. So I want you to do the math. If the diameter is 8.3 centimeters,
Oh.
what's the area of that circle? Go. Yep, just use 3.14.
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh, I forgot to take it squared.
4.15, I thought it was 8.3 squared. No.
So here's the thing, right? Going too fast again, right?
Oh.
Because it says it's the diameter, so I gotta do what to that?
Divide by
Bless you. The first thing I gotta do is divide 8.3 divided by 2. So I got my 4.15. Then I gotta take 4.15 squared, so I gotta take 4.15 times 4.15. And then I have to take that times 3.14. Punch it in your calculator and see if I'm right. How many of you did that? Yeah.
I forgot to square.
Mm-hmm. Did you get it right, Milo?
No, I'm still working on it. I did the.
I did not.
Is my 57.5 right?
I got 54.0786.
Did you use the button?
No,
Yeah.
I used the 3.14.
So
Yeah,
what you're
I
saying is I'm wrong?
Because 4.15 squared
Yeah.
is 17.2225.
Yeah.
That's
And then-
54.
Times 3.14.
3.14 is 54.070.
Oh, that stinks.
I'm confused. 22.
Where did I go wrong?
Why do you have another zero there?
Where?
On your first when you're first multiplying.
This?
Oh, because you have that extra two. Never mind.
4 times 2 is 8 plus 2.
I forgot about the carry.
10, right?
Yeah.
8, 9, 8, 28, 6. Put a 0 down. 5. Oh, there it is right there. I skipped to the 3. Darn it! I just didn't do it right. All right, next one up here. Next one. A landscaper has a tree whose roots form a ball-shaped bulb with a circumference of about 110 inches. So again, this is where it's kind of weird because they say about, so basically in that example right there, they would have rounded to get to that circumference, okay? How wide will the landscaper have to dig the hole in order to plant the tree?
So find the area.
So we're going to find the area of that circle, right? So if I know that the circumference is 110 what? Inches. What's the area of that circle I need to find? So can I do this?
Yes.
So what am I going to do?
Divided
Go
by
backwards.
5.
We're going to go backwards, right? So we need a radius. So my circumference is 110, so 110 equals what?
Pi.
2 pi r, right? The circumference equals 110. So how do I get what r is? How do I solve for r?
Divide by
Take 110 divided by
2.
pi. Divided by pi. Divided by, divided by pi times 2.
Okay? So I'm going to divide by 2 pi, right? So punch that in your calculator and get what?
7.5.
Exactly.
No.
What is it?
It's, I did not do that.
17.5.
Yeah, I got
I
17.5.
didn't
Zero,
get
seven, zero,
any of that.
Yeah, it's 17.5.
17.5? You
Yeah.
guys are killing me today.
17.5.
He said 7.5.
You said 7.5.
I
said
said
17,
17.
that's what I'm looking at.
No, you
He
didn't.
said 17.
I felt, and I did not get anywhere near that.
Yeah, it's 7.
So 17.5, if you use 3.14, it'd be this. 15923.
What
So-
did I do wrong?
I don't know.
I got that.
Okay, so here's an example. Grace tried putting it all in at one time into your calculator. Okay? So if she writes it out as 110 divided by 2 pi, she got 172.7. Right? Way off, right? So if you do 110 divided by, if you're going to put 2 pi in there, you got to put parentheses in there. Okay? And then we get the 17.5. All right? So again, make sure you know how your calculator works. So let's use 17.5 here. Is equal to r. Now we're going to do what? Pi 17.5 squared to get my radius, or sorry, to get my area. Okay? So punch it in your calculator.
It's a big number.
It's going to be a big number, right?
Why is it bigger than?
The area is just about always going to be bigger.
I got 9.
Why is it so big?
962.1.
962.1 what?
Inches squared.
Inches squared. Perfect. Y is what now? Because realistically, I need the amount. I'm only going around the outside of the first one. I want that whole amount on the inside.
But it's huge.
Well, not really. Because it's inches squared. No?
Inches.
So, do you see what I'm saying about slowing down and figuring things out? We already showed you at one time that all of you just about missed it except for Miley. And did you get the math right?
No, I
Okay, so think about doing this assignment today if you didn't have a calculator. Right? Most of you would still be here next Friday trying to do this assignment
Yeah.
with your long math. You know what I'm saying? Okay? Questions? You need to see any other examples of any of that stuff? So, one big thing is making sure that you use the right thing, a radius or a diameter. The other thing is to make sure that you have the right label, depending on circumference versus area. Okay? Good to go?
Yep.